It's hard to believe now, but terror birds, those avian successors to the dinosaurs, once roamed Europe. Imagine that, terror birds in Europe. It makes them the only members of their family to have lived outside the Americas. In the grand tapestry of Earth's history, few chapters are as captivating as the rise and fall of the dinosaurs. These magnificent creatures dominated our planet for over 60 million years, shaping ecosystems and adapting into a myriad of forms that continue to captivate our imagination. But as the curtain fell on the age of reptiles, it gave way to an unexpected sequel, one where the supporting characters stepped into the spotlight and nearly stole the show. Enter the forest racids, more commonly known as the terror birds. These feathered nightmares emerged from the ashes of the dinosaur extinction, carrying the torch of their terrifying predecessors and proving that nature abhors a vacuum, especially when it comes to apex predators. Roughly 53 million years ago, in the early Eocene, the world was a very different place. A hothouse with lush forests stretching from pole to pole, filled with a diverse range of life forms that emerged after the extinction of the dinosaurs. It was in this steamy prehistoric paradise that the first terror bird, Paleopsilopterus, made its debut. Standing at a modest height of 1 meter, or 3 feet, this Brazilian bird might not have seemed particularly terrifying at first glance. In fact, it was about the same size as a modern-day stork, hardly the stuff of nightmares. But appearances can be deceiving, and Paleopsilopterus had something its contemporaries lacked: potential. What set Paleopsilopterus apart was its agility and speed, traits that would become hallmarks of its descendants. While it may not have been the apex predator of its time, dwarfed by monstrous crocodilians and giant snakes, it was a harbinger of things to come. Little did the other inhabitants of ancient South America know that they were witnessing the birth of a dynasty that would reign for millions of years. As the Eocene progressed, so did the terror birds. Nature, it seemed, had plans for this lineage of avian predators, and those plans involved getting bigger, much bigger. Just 3 million years after Paleopsilopterus took its first steps, a new player entered the scene. Eluthaornis, a terror bird that stood 50% taller than its ancestor, emerged as a formidable predator. But Eluthaornis wasn't content with merely growing in size. It also expanded its range in a way that no other terror bird would match. While most of its kin would remain firmly rooted in the Americas, Eluthaornis spread its wings and ventured across the sea to Europe. Fossil remains of this globe-trotting terror have been found in both France and Switzerland, making it the only known member of its family to have lived outside the New World. Like many of its terror bird kin, it likely possessed a level of intelligence that set it apart from other contemporary predators. Studies of terror bird brain cases suggest that they had well-developed visual and auditory centers, indicating keen senses that would have made them formidable hunters. As impressive as Paraphysornis was, it was merely setting the stage for what was to come. As we step into the Miocene and Pliocene epochs, spanning from about 23 to 2.5 million years ago, we encounter the true giants of the terror bird family. These were creatures that pushed the boundaries of what it meant to be a bird, reaching sizes that rivaled the predatory dinosaurs of old. Three names stand out in this pantheon of avian terrors: Titanis, Kelenken, and Brontornis. Each of these genera represents the pinnacle of the terror bird lineage, and each had its own claim to fame. Titanis, the youngest and smallest of the trio, was also the most adventurous. While most terror birds were content to dominate South America, Titanis had grander ambitions. It crossed the newly formed land bridge connecting North and South America during the Great American Interchange, becoming the only large South American predator to successfully establish itself in North America. Unlike most of its relatives, this bird lived in what is now the United States, including the states of Texas, Florida, and California. Paleontologists estimate that many terror birds, including some of the larger species like Titanis, could have reached speeds exceeding 30 meters per hour. That's faster than Usain Bolt, while standing twice as tall and weighing several times as much. But speed wasn't just about chasing down prey. For many terror birds, especially the smaller and medium-sized species, it was also a crucial defensive adaptation. In a world filled with other large predators, including giant carnivorous mammals and enormous crocodilians, the ability to make a quick getaway could mean the difference between life and death. This combination of speed and size made terror birds versatile predators capable of adapting to a variety of hunting strategies. Smaller, faster species might have specialized in chasing down swift prey, like small mammals and reptiles, while the larger, more powerful species could have employed ambush tactics, or even taken on larger, more dangerous quarry. While their imposing size and fearsome beaks often steal the spotlight, the true power of terror birds lay in their highly developed senses. Recent studies of terror bird skulls and brain cases have revealed that these prehistoric predators were equipped with sensory capabilities that put them leagues ahead of many of their contemporaries. While terror birds might not have had eyesight quite as sharp as modern raptors like eagles or hawks, they were far from being visually impaired. Their eyes were well developed and positioned to provide excellent depth perception, a crucial advantage for any predator. But what really set terror bird vision apart was its versatility. These birds were equally adept at seeing in bright daylight and in the dim light of dawn and dusk, making them effective hunters around the clock. As for their hearing, the inner ear structure of terror birds suggests an acute sensitivity to low-frequency sounds. This ability would have allowed them to detect the footsteps and movements of potential prey, even when hidden by dense vegetation. I imagine a terror bird standing motionless in the prehistoric forests of South America, its head cocked slightly to one side. To a casual observer, it might appear to be resting or even dozing, but in reality, every fiber of its being is alert, its incredibly sensitive ears picking up the faintest rustle of leaves or the softest patter of tiny feet. In an instant, it can pinpoint the location of its unsuspecting prey and launch into action. This combination of visual and auditory prowess made terror birds the complete predatory package. It's no wonder these birds were able to dominate their ecosystems for millions of years. But even the mightiest rulers faced their downfall, and the reign of the terror birds was no exception. For millions of years, these avian predators had ruled supreme in South America. Developing into a diverse array of species, that filled various ecological niches. But somewhere along the line, their luck ran out. Traditionally, the extinction of the terror birds was linked to the Great American Interchange, a major paleozoogeographic event that occurred about 2.7 million years ago. This event saw the formation of the Isthmus of Panama, creating a land bridge between North and South America. As a result, animals from both continents were able to migrate across this newly formed connection, leading to a significant reshuffling of fauna. The conventional wisdom held that the influx of new predators from North America, including cats, dogs and bears, outcompeted the terror birds, leading to their eventual extinction. It was a neat and tidy explanation that seemed to make perfect sense. However, as is often the case in science, the truth has turned out to be more complex and nuanced. Recent studies have cast doubt on this simple competition-based extinction model, revealing a more intricate tapestry of factors that led to their demise. The terror birds. The name itself conjures up images of a lost world. For years, I believed they vanished about 1 million years ago, but new fossil evidence has dramatically changed that timeline. Some smaller species, it turns out, lived as recently as 96,000 years ago. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How close did humans come to encountering these feathered giants? The competition hypothesis suggests that terror birds couldn't compete with placental mammals, leading to their downfall. Now let's shift our focus to another group of dominant animals. Big cats. The lion may be the king of the jungle, but the tiger stands out as the largest, most powerful, and most skilled of them all. But there was one species in particular that stood above them all. Not only did it dwarf the modern tiger in size, but it ranks among the largest cats to ever exist, the Nandong tiger. In the early 20th century, Dutch paleontologists excavating near the village of Ninggandong on the island of Java in Indonesia made a remarkable discovery. They unearthed a collection of bones that belonged to a tiger, but these weren't the regular Bengal tiger bones they were used to. These were bigger than anything they had ever seen. Further research and analysis of additional fossils revealed even more astonishing details about this strangely huge tiger. For thousands of years during the Pleistocene epoch, the Gandong tiger roamed the Sunderland region of Southeast Asia, striving to establish itself as the dominant apex predator. This formidable beast was larger than its modern-day counterparts, with adults weighing up to 20 to 25% more than the average present-day Siberian tiger. Larger males typically weighed upwards of 400 kilonewtons, making them close contenders for the title of largest felines ever. Judging from the enormous size of these giants, it's easy to assume that tigers have always been this large. However, a look through history tells us something completely different. However, hunting larger herbivores may not have been that successful despite the Nyandong's enormous size. For instance, stegodons were massive proboscideans closely related to elephants, with some species reaching immense sizes. Even smaller species of stegodons would have dwarfed the Nyandong tiger. Stegodon sondari, for instance, is estimated to have weighed around 12.7 tons. Their thick and tough skin would have protected them from bites or claws. Then the Nyandong tiger's best chance would be a scavenging opportunity or an attack on a vulnerable stegodon, like the young, injured or isolated. Another example is the water buffaloes, known as bubulus, which are renowned for their large size and formidable strength, with some species weighing over 1,000 kilolint and moving in packs. So it would have been quite hard to face a herd of water buffalo, as their massive size, strong horns, and collective defense would overpower the tiger. The Nyandong tiger's only chance against such a colossal opponent would be to exploit their limited agility and target vulnerable areas through a surprise or flank attack. However, the Nyandong tiger succeeded more with other herbivores, like Rusa timorensis, Malayan tapir, giant rats, gibbons, and wild boars. Despite its many difficulties, the Nyandong tiger still earned its place as one of the most impressive predators of all time. Since it hunted alone, its smart hunting skills and ability to target weaker prey, and even sometimes scavenge, shows us how adaptable and tough the beast was. This quality made it thrive for 1,000 years until the extreme climate shifts of the Pleistocene epoch. These included periods of intense cold, with vast ice sheets locking up water, leading to lower sea levels, followed by warmer periods with melting glaciers and rising sea levels. As a result of this, Sunda land was fragmented into smaller islands, leading to the isolated populations of Nyandong tigers with limited resources and genetic diversity. From these isolated populations emerged smaller subspecies of tigers, such as the Sumatran tiger, Bali tiger, and Javan tiger. While climate change undoubtedly played a role, scientists proposed that the presence of early humans in Southeast Asia might have been among the reasons why the tigers went extinct. They likely caused increased competition for resources or potential conflicts that impacted the Nyandong tiger population. Other factors may have also contributed to their demise, but with limited fossil records, we are left with many unanswered questions. I've always been fascinated by creatures designed specifically for tackling the giants of their time. And not too long ago, on Earth's timeline, one such feline prowled our planet. It was the undisputed monarch of the Ice Age, the Smilodon, the saber-toothed cat extraordinaire. First up, we have S. gracilis, the elder statesman of the group. This OG appeared in North America about 2.5 million years ago, descending from an even older genus called Meganterion. Next came S. fatalis, strutting onto the scene roughly 1 million years later. Last, but certainly not least, S. populator made its grand entrance about 600,000 years after fatalis. Fashionably late to the Ice Age party, S. gracilis, while no slouch in the size department, was the runt of the litter, tipping the scales at about the same weight as a modern jaguar. S. fatalis, living up to its name, was a step up in the terror department, matching an African lion in size, but packing on extra muscle like a feline bodybuilder. We're talking about 280 kilos, or 620 pounds, of prehistoric fury. That's on par with the largest tigers roaming the earth today. But S. populator dominated them all. This behemoth pushed the boundaries of felid physiology, with the largest known specimens estimated to have weighed in at a jaw-dropping 470 kilos, or 1,040 pounds. To put that in perspective, that's about the same as a medium-sized polar bear. Interestingly, unlike many modern big cats, Smilodons didn't seem to be too hung up on gender norms. Studies suggest that there wasn't a significant size difference between males and females, a trait scientists call low sexual dimorphism. Many researchers favour a different but equally grim scenario. They propose that Smilodon used its powerful build to quickly overpower its prey, then delivered a precise lethal bite to the throat, causing severe blood loss and suffocation, a quick, if not particularly pleasant, end for its unfortunate victims. Adding fuel to this theory is the discovery that Smilodon could open its jaw to an incredible 120 degrees. That's almost twice as wide as a human can manage. With a gape like that, pretty much every neck in the Ice Age would have been fair game. But Smilodon wasn't just brawn and teeth. Brain scans of Smilodon skulls suggest that these prehistoric predators had excellent coordination, sharp hearing, and top-notch vision. Their eye socket shape hints at binocular vision, giving them the depth perception needed to judge distances accurately, crucial for a predator that relied on ambush tactics. And if all that wasn't enough, they were fast too. Many Smilodon fossils show trauma to their sternums, the kind of injury you'd expect from high-speed collisions. This suggests that not only were they quick on their feet, but they were also willing to risk life and limb, or at least a bruised chest, in pursuit of their next meal. Smilodon's unique traits, along with its powerful weaponry, made it a versatile hunter capable of taking down a wide variety of megafaunal prey. The specific animals it targeted varied based on the region it called home. In North America, their prey included oversized versions of animals we recognize today: giant bison, camels, and, if the opportunity arose, even mastodons and Columbian mammoths. Yes, these cats were taking down creatures that dwarfed modern elephants. In South America, Smilodon's targets were equally impressive and diverse, including creatures like Toxodon, Litopterna, various species of Glyptodont, along with more familiar animals such as horses and camelids. Some evidence even suggests that Smilodon occasionally went after caimans, cementing its status as a top predator. We know what Smilodon ate thanks to skeletal evidence such as tooth marks on bones, or Smilodon remains found alongside those of their prey, providing vital clues about its diet. One big question that's still hotly debated in paleontology circles is whether Smilodon was a lone hunter or a team player. This isn't just academic curiosity. Knowing whether Smilodon hunted in packs could tell us a lot about its social structure and what kind of prey it typically targeted. One of the strongest pieces of evidence supporting the idea that Smilodons lived socially comes from the La Brea tar pits in California. These California tar pits are a gold mine for paleontologists, preserving countless Ice Age animals that got stuck in the sticky asphalt. But most of the bones found in La Brea aren't from herbivores that got trapped, but from predators that got stuck trying to eat the trapped herbivores. Smilodon fossils are the second most common find in these pits, with over 166,000 bones attributed to it. This high number has led some scientists to suggest that Smilodon might have been a social animal. The reasoning goes like this. In modern cat species, the more social ones tend to be more responsive to distress calls. So, if one Smilodon got stuck, it might have called for help, attracting other members of its group who then also got stuck. It's a grim thought, but it could explain why we find so many Smilodon remains in one place. Another fascinating clue pointing to Smilodon's possible social behavior is surprisingly touching, though in a prehistoric, slightly grim sense. Some Smilodon fossils show signs of severe injuries or disabilities that would have made hunting nearly impossible. Yet, these individuals survived well into adulthood. This has led some paleontologists to propose what they call pseudo-healthcare among Smilodons. The idea is that these injured there's a heartwarming, if speculative, idea that has stayed with me. Imagining saber-toothed cat families, Smilodon families, looking after their own. The fossil record hints at it. We find Smilodon fossils showing signs of hip dysplasia from a young age, individuals who somehow survived to adulthood. How could such an animal have hunted successfully on its own? But not everyone buys the Smilodon social club theory. We're talking about a world where you might encounter short-faced bears, proboscideans, ground sloths the size of cars, armored glyptodons, the rhino-like toxodon, camels, deer, horses, bison, and even terror birds. It was like a real-life version of the ice levels in every video game, but with 100% more lethal prehistoric cats. But there was one more species that Smilodon encountered in its twilight years, one that would change the face of the planet forever: humans. It's believed that our ancestors might have first crossed paths with Smilodon around 25,000 years ago. Now, imagine being one of those early humans, armed with nothing but primitive tools, coming face to face with a saber-toothed cat. The relationship between humans and Smilodon was likely a tense one. After all, we were competing for many of the same food sources. And unfortunately for our ancestors, by the time humans arrived on the scene, only the larger Smilodon populator and Smilodon fatalis remained. Talk about bad timing. Given that Meganterion, the possible predecessor of Smilodon, was known to occasionally prey on Homo erectus, it's not a stretch to imagine that Smilodon might have considered early humans as potential prey too. But don't feel too bad for our ancestors. Humans are nothing if... In 2021, something extraordinary caught my eye. A petroglyph that seemed to depict humans observing a Smilodon from a safe distance. With its passing, a lineage that had dominated the planet for over 20 million years came to an end. Its legacy, however, still resonates in museum exhibits, in our imaginations, and as a reminder of the fragile balance between species and their environments. As we face our own period of rapid change, the lesson of Smilodon is clear. Survival requires adaptation. Most apex predators face a fundamental limitation. They're trapped in one environment. Lions rule the savannah, but are helpless in water. Great whites dominate the ocean, but can't set a fin on land. Even T-Rex, for all its might, was confined to dry ground, forced to watch as prey slipped into rivers and lakes beyond its reach. For over a century, paleontologists assumed the greatest hunters were strictly terrestrial. Then, one discovery shattered that belief overnight. Its name was Spinosaurus aegyptiacus. Longer than a bus, armed with the skull of a crocodile and the body of a streamlined aquatic hunter, this was no ordinary killer. This was the nightmare that redefined what it meant to be an apex predator. A monster that could rival, and in many ways surpass, even T-Rex itself. The first thing that strikes you about Spinosaurus isn't its length, though at 50 to 59 feet, 15 to 18 meters, it dwarfs even the largest T-Rex specimens. It's not even the massive sail rising from its back like some prehistoric fin. We fear great white sharks, creatures honed by millions of years of aquatic predation. But Spinosaurus had even longer to sharpen its deadly craft, with added intelligence and size that dwarfs anything alive today. It transformed every waterway into its personal killing field. Imagine being a large fish in the rivers of Cretaceous Africa. Your instincts are tuned to recognize danger, the shadow of a pterosaur, the ripples of a crocodile, subtle current shifts. But none of that mattered when Spinosaurus arrived. The attack began before you even knew you were being hunted. While you scanned for familiar threats, death approached from an angle you weren't prepared for: the shoreline. Those paddle feet propelled it through the water with surprising speed, allowing it to pursue prey through underwater mazes where other predators would become trapped. It could adapt its hunting strategy in real time. If it missed its target underwater, it could simply rise to the surface and snatch prey from above. If prey took refuge in shallow water, its webbed feet provided perfect stability for wading attacks. Consider, too, Spinosaurus's intelligence. Crocodiles are clever, but they operate on instinct. Spinosaurus possessed the problem-solving capabilities of a large theropod, the same cognitive tools that made others such effective pack hunters. This intelligence was applied to an environment where most prey had never faced anything remotely similar. Every movement in the water registered on its prey's sensors. It could track multiple targets simultaneously, predict their movements, and position itself for killing strikes with mechanical precision. Its massive nostrils, positioned high off the skull like a crocodile's, allowed it to breathe while almost fully submerged. Its snout was covered in a dense network of sensory pits specialized for detecting press waves and subtle water disturbances. In murky rivers, this system worked like underwater radar. Every flick of a fish's tail, every ripple from a struggling lungfish, even the faintest shift in current. I've always been fascinated by the thought of ecosystems we can barely imagine. Imagine a world where death could strike from any angle, at any moment, from a predator unlike any other. A predator that combined the bone-crushing power of terrestrial carnivores with the precision of aquatic hunters. That was the world of Spinosaurus. Its very presence reshaped the prehistoric landscape. Unlike land predators, Spinosaurus used the water itself as a weapon. Its powerful arms and webbed feet created currents that disoriented prey, while its massive size generated press waves that stunned smaller fish. The bite force of Spinosaurus, though not as strong as a T-Rex's, was perfectly calibrated. Instead of delivering single, devastating blows, it applied steady, inescapable press with backward curved teeth. Giants like Charorodontosaurus patrolled the inland areas, while Sarasuchus, the 40-foot super croc, competed directly with Spinosaurus for aquatic hunting grounds. Mid-sized hunters such as Rugops cleaned up Spinosaurus's leftovers, while swift predators like Deltadroius and Bahariosaurus used speed and specialized tactics. Herbivores like Oranosaurus, Rebachiosaurus, and the colossal Paralititan somehow survived this gauntlet. the waters themselves were filled with monstrous prey like entroprist, morsonia, chelanths, lepidotes, and lungfish. Every species in this ecosystem lived in constant tension with Spinosaurus's dominance. Land predators maintained uneasy truces. Herbivores relied on elaborate survival tactics just to drink, and aquatic prey developed increasingly tough defenses. The last Spinosaurus died approximately 94 million years ago. But the questions this creature raises about predation, dominance, and the very limits of survival continue to ripple through scientific understanding, like press waves from some impossible prehistoric nightmare that refuses to stay buried in stone. While we often think of Tyrannosaurus rex or Megalodon as apex predators, North America had its own extraordinary hunter. Today's grey wolf may be the largest living canid, but rewind to the Miocene epoch 20 to 5 million years ago, and a new apex predator emerges, Epicyon. It was a colossal predator so fearsome it could rival a lioness in size, and had jaws powerful enough to outmatch a grizzly bear. In simpler terms, this was a dog that could eat a lion. Its name, Epicyon, means more than a dog, because calling it just a dog doesn't do it justice. The story of Epicyon's discovery represents one of paleontology's most intriguing progressions from misidentification to revelation. Over 160 years ago, in the fossil-rich sediments of Nebraska, scientists unearthed the first fragments of what would later be recognized as the largest canid species ever to walk the Earth. The initial discovery consisted of a fragmented lower jaw. While obviously from a large carnivore, the jaw's wolf-like characteristics led early paleontologists to classify it as a subgenus of Canis, the genus that includes modern wolves, coyotes, and jackals. This seemed logical at the time given the limited fossil evidence. However, as more complete specimens emerged from North American fossil beds throughout the following decades, a much more complex picture began to emerge. The discovery of complete skulls proved particularly revolutionary. These specimens revealed that while certain features resembled those of wolves, others were startlingly different. The skull was unlike anything I'd ever seen. It had these specialized enlarged premolars and this powerfully built cranial structure, more like a lion or hyena than any dog I knew. I've always been drawn to the stories of creatures that defy expectations. Amidst the age of colossal predators, one creature's fossils remain curiously unmarked by ferocious battles. It wasn't the tallest, fastest, or most fearsome predator, but with a body armored like a tank and a tail capable of shattering bones, this creature defied the rules of survival. It made even the mighty T-Rex think twice. This was Ankylosaurus, nature's ultimate fortress. Considering the carnivore remains found in North American deposits, it's fascinating that Epicyon bones are so abundant. This suggests to me something more than just solitary hunting. It hints at social behavior, stable populations, maybe even pack hunting. The physical build of Epicyon also provides clues. Unlike most canids, both modern and extinct, they possessed a more robust skeletal structure with heavier bones. This sturdiness, while perhaps limiting their agility and endurance compared to modern wolves, would have been advantageous in close-quarters combat with large prey. Recent studies suggest they were built for powerful, explosive movements. indicating reliance on ambush tactics or short, high-speed chases rather than long-distance pursuit. Pack hunting, in this context, would have been particularly advantageous, allowing groups to surround and overwhelm prey that might have otherwise escaped. One of Epicion's most remarkable adaptations was its ability to process and digest bone. Its specialized premolars and thickened molars closely resembled those of modern hyenas, a fascinating example of unrelated species developing similar adaptations to exploit the same ecological niche. Recent analysis of fossilized feces associated with Epicion has revealed high concentrations of processed bone material, confirming this bone-crushing behavior. This adaptation would have provided several advantages. First, it allowed them to extract maximum nutrition from their kills by accessing bone marrow. Second, it potentially reduced competition with other predators by allowing them to utilize parts of carcasses that others couldn't process. This ability to process bone would have been particularly valuable during periods of scarcity. The Miocene epoch was characterized by significant climate fluctuations, with periods of both warming and cooling, and shifts between wet and dry conditions. During times when prey was scarce, the ability to fully utilize every part of a carcass, including the bones, would have provided a crucial survival advantage. The success of Epicion is evident in its widespread distribution across North America during the Miocene. Fossil remains have been discovered in more than 10 different US states and parts of southern Canada, indicating a remarkable ability to adapt to various environments. Recent paleo-environmental studies have shown that these ancient predators thrived in a diverse array of habitats, from woodlands and savannas to grasslands and wetlands. Particularly interesting are recent discoveries of Epicion remains in cave systems and edge environments, areas where different habitat types intersect. These findings suggest that Epicion was not only adaptable, but potentially strategic in its habitat selection, preferring areas that provided both hunting opportunities and shelter. Their ability to process a variety of foods likely contributed to this ecological flexibility. While primarily carnivorous, the structure of their teeth suggests they could also process tough plant material when necessary. This dietary flexibility combined with their bone-crushing abilities would have allowed them to survive in a wide range of environments and through various seasonal changes. The ultimate disappearance of Epicion from the fossil record has long intrigued paleontologists. Early theories suggested that competition from newly arriving big cats led to their extinction. However, this hypothesis has largely been discounted, as many of the large cats that would have competed with Epicion, such as the famous Smilodon, didn't appear in North America until millions of years after Epicion's disappearance. Current evidence points to climate change as the primary driver of Epicion's extinction. The late Miocene saw significant global cooling and increased aridity, leading to fundamental changes in North American ecosystems. Recent paleobotanical studies indicate a shift from mixed woodland savanna environments to more open grasslands. This transformation would have affected not only the types of prey available, but also hunting strategies. Epicion's specialized adaptations, Its heavy build, bone-crushing teeth, and relatively short legs may have become disadvantageous as prey species became faster and more adapted to open environments. Unlike their more generalized relatives, which gave rise to modern wolves and other canids, Epicyan's extreme specializations may have limited its ability to cope with these changing conditions. The story of Ankylosaurus, on the other hand, began in the early 20th century, when paleontologists working in Montana's Hell Creek Formation uncovered a collection of unusual fossils. These weren't the typical bones they were accustomed to finding. Instead, they discovered an assemblage. The moment I saw the fragmented plates, the robust bones, and those strange teeth, I knew something profound was about to shift in our understanding of dinosaur defenses. It was a discovery that demanded its own place in the taxonomic order. They would eventually call it Ankylosaurus magnaventris. The name itself, I think, gives a sense of its character. Ankylosaurus, or fuse lizard, speaks to its remarkably fortified skeleton. And with decades of advances in paleontological techniques, CT scanning, isotope analysis, we've been able to reconstruct its appearance and understand its lifestyle in remarkable detail. From the armored plates that defined its body, to the distinctive club at the end of its tail, Ankylosaurus epitomizes nature's ingenuity. And the discovery was particularly groundbreaking because it didn't just reveal a new species. It became the cornerstone of an entirely new group of dinosaurs, the Ankylosauria. These animals, belonging to the larger clade Ornithischia, were characterized by their extensive armor plating and herbivorous lifestyle. Within this group, Ankylosaurus belonged to a more specialized family, the Ankylosauridae, distinguished by their massive triangular skulls, stocky builds, and elaborate defensive features. Among all its relatives, Ankylosaurus holds a special distinction. It was the largest of its kind ever discovered. Adults reached lengths of 5.4 to 10 meters, that's 17 to 33 feet, and stood about 1.7 meters at the hip. More impressively, these titans weighed between 5 and 8 tons, surpassing even the famously robust Triceratops in mass, and rivaling the earlier aquatic predator Spinosaurus. It makes you wonder how a relatively low-slung animal could pack such impressive weight into its frame. I believe the answer lies in its extraordinary construction. Imagine a biological tank, meticulously designed for strength and survival. This discovery suggests that the armor might have served multiple purposes, not just protection, but possibly also helping to regulate body temperature, similar to how some modern reptiles use their scales for thermoregulation. The number of these osteoderms remains a subject of debate among paleontologists, with estimates ranging from 30 to well over 100. But what's particularly intriguing is their unique construction. Unlike other armored dinosaurs that had solid, thick plates, the Ankylosaurus possessed something more sophisticated: osteoderms with hollow undersides. This seemingly counterintuitive design actually represented a remarkable feat of natural engineering. The hollow structure created a dome-like formation that distributed impact forces more effectively than solid plates would have, similar to how modern motorcycle helmets use their curved design to protect riders. This adaptation made the armor particularly effective. The tail club of the Ankylosaurus wasn't just a simple bony growth. It was a precisely engineered weapon, one of nature's most effective deterrents against predation. I find myself thinking about the kind of evolutionary prise that would lead to such a remarkable defense. Beneath its armored plates was a network of collagen fibers that puts modern protective materials to shame. These fibers, significantly thicker than those in modern armored animals like crocodiles and armadillos, created a natural composite material, much like modern fiber-reinforced plastics. Biomechanical studies have shown that this combination of hard plates and flexible fibers could absorb and dissipate energy from impacts in ways that purely rigid armor couldn't match. In fact, when subjected to simulated impact tests, reconstructions of Ankylosaurus armor proved capable of withstanding forces that would have seriously injured or killed most other dinosaurs. Recent CT scans of tail club fossils have revealed an intricate internal structure that optimized the club for both strength and swing speed. The club itself was composed of two large osteoderms at its core, complemented by smaller ones at the tip and along the midline, all supported by a framework of highly modified vertebrae specifically adapted to handle the stresses of high-speed impacts. The measurements are staggering. Specimens show the club could reach 57 centimeters in width and weighed approximately 23 kilos. But these numbers only tell part of the story. The real marvel was in the biomechanics. Advanced computer modeling has shown that large individuals could generate impact forces exceeding 20,000 newtons and could achieve swing impulses of up to 1,800 newtons second. To put this in perspective, while a professional baseball player generates about 13 newtons per second in their swing, the Ankylosaurus's tail strike was 370 times more powerful. Some studies even suggest that the impact force could have been focused on an area as small as a few square centimeters, multiplying its bone-crushing potential. While much of its life remains a mystery, fossil evidence offers glimpses into its daily routines and survival strategies. Juvenile Ankylosaurus specimens, for example, lacked the fully developed armor and tail clubs seen in adults. This vulnerability likely necessitated group behavior during the early stages of life. Trackway fossils suggest juveniles may have formed protective herds, with larger individuals shielding the more vulnerable young in the center, a defensive strategy reminiscent of modern muskoxen. As they matured, Ankylosaurus individuals underwent significant lifestyle changes. Adults appear to have been predominantly solitary, a conclusion supported by the rarity of adult specimens found in groups. Their solitary behavior was likely a reflection of their formidable defenses, which allowed them to traverse their environments without fear of predation. Solitary adults might have roamed large territories, primarily in search of food and suitable habitat, avoiding direct competition with other herbivores. The association of Ankylosaurus fossils with specific types of vegetation has led researchers to hypothesize that they may have helped disperse seeds, inadvertently promoting plant diversity. Seasonal changes would have impacted the behavior of Ankylosaurus. Fossil evidence indicates that some regions experienced dry and wet seasons, influencing the availability of food resources. Ankylosaurus may have adapted by modifying its diet or undertaking small-scale migrations to follow vegetation growth. The robust construction of its body, coupled with its ability to consume tough plant material, would have allowed it to survive in less than ideal conditions. The coexistence of Ankylosaurus with large herbivores like Triceratops and Edmontosaurus, as well as apex predators like Tyrannosaurus rex, paints a vivid picture of its ecological niche. While Ankylosaurus was not the most numerous dinosaur in its ecosystem, its defensive adaptations end its survival alongside fierce competition. Its presence in these environments exemplifies the power of natural selection in shaping unique and effective survival strategies. I've always been fascinated by the secrets hidden within fossils, the subtle clues that reveal so much about a creature's life. Consider the Ankylosaurus. We often focus on its armor, its club-like tail, but recent studies have shown its teeth reveal a surprising degree of dietary flexibility. While we know Ankylosaurus was primarily herbivorous, perfectly adapted to process tough, fibrous vegetation, where patterns on its teeth suggest it may have occasionally supplemented its diet. Perhaps a bit of protein-rich fungi, or small invertebrates inadvertently gathered while feeding. It's a reminder that even in the ancient world, creatures adapted and survived in surprising ways. The Ankylosaurus, with its broad, low-slung muzzle and simple ridge teeth, was ideally suited for stripping ferns, cycads, and horsetails. Unlike some herbivorous dinosaurs with elaborate dental batteries, it relied on powerful jaw muscles to break down plant material. Its digestive system likely included a large, complex gut capable of fermenting plant material, a necessity for extracting nutrients from its fibrous diet. Fossilized droppings from similar species suggest the presence of symbiotic gut bacteria, crucial for breaking down cellulose. This process would have produced energy-rich byproducts, allowing Ankylosaurus to maintain its massive body size. Its broad midsection may have been a specialized design to house this extensive digestive system, providing ample space for fermentation and nutrient absorption. But the Ankylosaurus was more than just armor and digestion. Its sensory capabilities were equally remarkable. Its sense of smell, in particular, was highly developed, vital for locating food, avoiding predators, and possibly even detecting mates. Its acute sense of smell and hearing could have allowed it to detect a predator's approach early enough to position itself defensively, presenting its armored back and tail club to the threat. The reign of Ankylosaurus came to an end during the KT extinction event, about 66 million years ago. But its legacy lives on in our understanding of natural design and defense mechanisms. The Cretaceous period was an era of titans. It produced not only the largest terrestrial predator, but also the largest land animal ever known. Around 82 million years ago in North America, there emerged Dinosaurs, the largest crocodilian in Earth's history. Its name translates to terrible crocodile. Dinosaurs was discovered in the 1850s, when large, distinctive teeth were unearthed in North Carolina. Initially, these teeth were mistaken for those of a pliosaur, a type of marine reptile, leading to considerable confusion among paleontologists. But the sheer size and unique characteristics of the teeth didn't align with known marine reptiles, prompting a deeper investigation. Dr. Joseph Leidy, a leading paleontologist of the 19th century, played a pivotal role in re-evaluating these remains. His research corrected the initial misclassification, revealing that the teeth belonged to an entirely different kind of prehistoric creature. The newly proposed classification reflected the immense size and formidable presence of this crocodilian, which was aptly named Dinosaurus hatcheri. So, despite the initial inflated estimates, the reality of Deinosuchus's size remains impressive, solidifying its reputation as one of the largest crocodilians to ever live. Among the known specimens, the riograndensis species stands out for its truly impressive size. Detailed studies of these large remains, found primarily in Texas, suggest that the largest Deinosuchus riograndensis individuals could reach lengths of up to 39 feet and weigh around 8.5 tons. This makes them not only among the largest crocodilians to have ever lived, but also heavier than most dinosaurs, except for perhaps Tyrannosaurus rex. Paleontologist Thomas Lehman, who extensively examined the Deinosuchus fossils from Texas, offered fascinating insights into the biology and growth patterns of these ancient reptiles. His research revealed that the largest specimens exhibited growth rings in their osteoderms, similar to tree rings. These offered valuable information about their age and growth rates. Some of the largest riograndensis individuals showed evidence of rapid growth spurts during their juvenile years, followed by more gradual growth into adulthood. It underscores the significant impact of environmental factors, like food availability and climate conditions, on the growth and maximum size of Deinosuchus. With its brain case and overall appearance, Deinosuchus bore a striking resemblance to modern alligators, including a body and snout that superficially mimicked these contemporary relatives. I've always been fascinated by the ancient world, by the creatures that stalked the earth long before us, and few are as compelling as Deinosuchus. Imagine a crocodile, but not just any crocodile, a giant, an apex predator that dwarfed even some dinosaurs. Bite marks on fossilized tail vertebrae tell a brutal story. These bite marks, found in Texas on duck-billed dinosaurs, the hadrosaurs, such as Gryosaurus and Chasmosaurus, are consistent with Deinosuchus. It paints a clear picture of its feeding habits. But it wasn't just hadrosaurs that had to fear Deinosuchus. Its sheer size and strength meant that even armored dinosaurs like Ankylosaurus and Hydrosaurus were potential targets. And even the large theropods, like Apalachiosaurus, weren't immune. Some bite marks on their bones have been attributed to Deinosuchus. As the apex predator, Deinosuchus likely influenced the size and distribution of other theropods in its eastern habitat. No other theropod in the area reached its size, further supporting its role as a top predator. Coprolite analysis has given us direct evidence of Deinosuchus's diet. These fossilized feces contain fragments of dinosaur bones, fish scales, and turtle shells, providing a snapshot of its varied diet. I remember when I first read Dr. Karen Chin's work on these coprolites. She's a specialist in the field, and she emphasizes just how important these findings are. The diverse prey items found in Deinosuchus coprolites highlight its opportunistic feeding behavior. Deinosuchus was a highly successful predator, as evidenced by its extensive range, with remains found throughout the United States and northern Mexico. During its prime, the American continent was divided by the Western Interior Seaway, a shallow sea, and Deinosuchus thrived on both sides of this seaway. It inhabited diverse environments, including estuaries, freshwater lakes, rivers, and possibly even deeper marine waters, although some believe that the marine remains could have been displaced post-mortem. The adaptability of Deinosuchus is showcased by its preference for estuaries, coastal bodies of brackish water with river or stream inlets. However, it also thrived in freshwater lakes and rivers and was potentially present in marine environments. Its strong limbs and tail allowed it to navigate both aquatic and terrestrial settings, tolerating varying salinity levels, which further demonstrates its ecological flexibility. If Deinosuchus indeed ventured into deeper waters, it might have encountered other giant predators like Tylosaurus, one of the largest mosasaurs. This interaction could suggest a complex predator-prey dynamic within its ecosystem, influencing the behavior and distribution of various species. Deinosuchus lived alongside a vast array of dinosaurs and other prehistoric creatures. It coexisted with herbivorous dinosaurs like Anodontosaurus, Griosaurus, Cosmoceratops, Eutriceratops, and many others. To put this in perspective, even the largest recorded Siberian tigers, which are the biggest living cats today, rarely exceed 300 kilos, 660 lb. The American lion's only real competitor for size was the equally impressive Smilodon populator, which could reach weights of up to 470 kilos, 1,040 lb. However, the discovery of those exceptionally large American lion specimens in 2012 firmly established Panthera atrox as the heavyweight champion of the feline world. What makes the American lion particularly remarkable is that, despite its enormous size, it maintained the agility and speed characteristic of big cats. Conservative estimates suggest it could reach speeds of over 30 mph, 48 km/h, faster than any human athlete, and comparable to a charging warthog. This combination of size and speed would have made it an extraordinarily effective predator. The hunting strategy of the American lion likely relied heavily on ambush tactics. This is a conclusion drawn from both its anatomical features and the hunting behaviors of its modern relatives. Its robust bone structure and powerful muscles would have allowed it to quickly overwhelm large prey, while its long legs provided the speed necessary for successful ambush attacks. Fossil evidence provides compelling insights into its hunting capabilities. Their smaller pride size, combined with their larger individual mass, meant each pride needed to bring down fewer but larger prey animals to sustain themselves. Perhaps most fascinating is the evidence of their den sites discovered in caves across the American West. These sites, particularly those found in the Grand Canyon region, show signs of multi-generational use, some caves bearing marks of occupation spanning thousands of years. The walls of these dens often bear deep scoring marks from claws, a behavior seen in modern big cats, but at a scale that dwarfs anything in the present day. Some of these marks are placed over 3 meters high on cave walls, providing tangible evidence of their incredible reaching height when standing on their hind legs. These locations have yielded another surprising discovery: collections of bones from juvenile American lions of varying ages, suggesting that, like modern lions, they had developed sophisticated parenting strategies. Unlike solitary big cats such as tigers, American lions appear to have invested heavily in cooperative cub rearing, a social adaptation. The bite force of the American lion. When I first read about it, the image stayed with me for days. Its bite, generated by a thick, powerfully built skull, could reach 1,800 pounds per square inch, nearly 3 times stronger than a modern lion, and 6 times more powerful than the Smilodon. That tremendous force was delivered through canine teeth that could reach lengths of 4 inches. Fossil evidence from the La Brea tar pits in California gruesomely demonstrates the effectiveness of this bite. Among the discoveries was the remains of a grey wolf with its right femur completely severed, not by scavenging, but by a single bite from an American lion. The wolf survived, evidenced by signs of healing, but the incident starkly illustrates the devastating power of these cats. Perhaps one of the most intriguing aspects was their apparent intelligence. The species possessed a notably large brain case, suggesting significant cognitive capabilities. This, combined with the complex problem-solving abilities observed in modern panther species, indicates that the American lion was likely a highly intelligent predator. This intelligence is particularly evident in their interaction with natural hazards. Despite being one of the most common large carnivores of their time, American lions are surprisingly underrepresented in tar pit fossil deposits compared to other predators like dire wolves and Smilodons. This pattern suggests they were better at recognizing and avoiding these natural traps, demonstrating a level of environmental awareness that set them apart from their contemporaries. The American lion's range extended across much of North America, from Alaska to central Mexico, adapting to various environments from open grasslands to semi-forested regions. The paleontologist who discovered it purely by chance soon realized it was a monstrous beast. In fact, he was so mesmerized by its size that he named the creature after a mythological Aztec serpent god, and Northrop after an aircraft manufacturing company that creates modern marvels of the sky. And so, Quetzalcoatlus northropii, the timeless conqueror of the skies, and the first of its kind to grace human knowledge, was named. Eventually, Quetzalcoatlus lawsoni was found to be the second species within the Quetzalcoatlus genus. However, Northropi always took the spotlight. It has become common knowledge that Quetzalcoatlus is the biggest pterosaur and the largest flying animal in history. But despite its enormous size and cohabitation with the iconic Tyrannosaurus, little is known about its biology. Its enormous wingspan, estimated to have been 21 meters, was first thought to have made it broader than the F-22 fighter plane. However, paleontologists today believe that it probably grew to be between 10 to 12 meters wide, which is still larger than an F-16 and by far the largest animal flying around on this planet. Not to mention that it stood roughly the same height as a giraffe on the ground. Some researchers believe it may have weighed as much as 250 kilograms, very close to a grizzly bear. Even though Quetzalcoatlus lawsoni was much smaller, it nonetheless had a wide wingspan, possibly 4.5 to 6 meters. For years, The largest of Quetzalcoatlus was known as the largest pterosaur to ever exist. However, the recent discoveries of larger species have challenged it in size and weight. One such giant is called Hatzegopteryx, the Titanic pterosaur, hailing from current Europe, that possessed a similar wingspan to Quetzalcoatlus, but was larger in weight. It also had a bigger skull. Despite falling short in the weight department, Quetzalcoatlus is still the largest pterosaur that ever lived and flew over the lands in North America. In addition to the size being remarkable, this magnificent creature possessed features that set them apart from other animals of the time. For instance, Quetzalcoatlus lacked feathers and had no tail. Instead, it had coarse hair covering from top to bottom, giving it a striking look. And Quetzalcoatlus was toothless. Quetzalcoatlus. Even the name evokes a sense of ancient wonder. Imagine a creature with the wingspan of a small airplane, soaring through the skies of the late Cretaceous. I have spent countless hours lost in the details of this animal, and every new discovery deepens the mystery. Its very existence challenges our understanding of what's possible in the natural world. Scientists initially thought Quetzalcoatlus, like other reptiles, would have been cold-blooded. But now we know it was warm-blooded and active, an extraordinary metabolism fueling its way of life. Though whether warm-blooded or cold, I can't say it was a looker. It had a long, pointed beak, much like a modern stork, but without the hooked tip. Excavations revealed that the Quetzalcoatlus northropi skull was larger than that of Quetzalcoatlus lawsoni, solidifying its place as the larger of the two known species. And Quetzalcoatlus could rotate its head a full 180 degrees. I imagine that must have been quite a sight, and certainly useful for spotting prey or avoiding ambushes. This head rotation ability even led some to believe that Quetzalcoatlus may have primarily lived and hunted on the ground. The theory was that it was too heavy to fly, better suited to a terrestrial existence. This flightless theory, emerging in 2010, never really took off, so to speak. The unearthed bones suggest a different story. They appear remarkably light, almost like potato chips. This lightness would have made flight easier than previously imagined. But this realization then brought forward a new major question. How did Quetzalcoatlus even take off? Many theories describe this enormous reptile leaping into the air, flapping its wings, or lurching forward on its wingtips like a vampire bat. Perhaps it even crouched before launching itself 8 feet into the air, giving it room to spread its wings. It seemed its secret weapon was those strong hind legs, providing the massive push needed for liftoff. One study suggested that Quetzalcoatlus was a remarkable flyer, engaging in brief powered flights before gliding. The fossil was located far from the coast, with no signs of large rivers or deep lakes nearby. However, the scavenging idea was challenged in 1996. Scientists noted that unlike the hooked beaks of specialist scavenger birds, the lower jaw bent so steeply downward that even when closed, a gap remained between it and the upper jaw. Another theory was that Quetzalcoatlus ate like modern skimmers, cleaving the waves with its beak and grabbing fish in mid-air. This idea gained widespread acceptance, but wasn't scientifically tested until 2007. That study revealed that the energy requirement for skimming would be too great for such massive flying creatures. A year later, another study suggested that the remains of azhdarchids are not found close enough to large bodies of water to support the skimming theory. Scientists found that the anatomy of Quetzalcoatlus is very different from that of any known skimmer. Skimmers have necks designed to absorb sudden impacts, but azhdarchids lacked these adaptations, likely breaking their necks from the strain of pushing their lower jaws through the water. On the contrary, their anatomy is similar to modern storks, indicating they most likely pursued and hunted small animals on land. For a while, Quetzalcoatlus was seen as a giant vulture, scavenging the carcasses of dinosaurs and other dead animals. But as time passes and science advances, we are learning more about this unique creature.